The entire boardroom went silent when the CEO said it. In the middle of a bright Tuesday morning, sunlight pouring through the glass walls of the 23rd floor, in front of executives, assistants, and investors, the most powerful woman in the building turned to the janitor and made a request that felt like a lightning strike across polished marble floors. The mop froze in his hand. He thought he had misheard her. But he hadn't. And what he did next would change both of their lives forever. Before we step into that moment, if you believe kindness can change destinies and that second chances are sometimes disguised as humiliation, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Touch of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. That morning had begun like every other for Armin Qureshi. The day had barely broken when he kissed his 6-year-old daughter Zara on the forehead and tucked her blanket under her chin. Their apartment was small, painted in fading beige, with a window that let in too much winter light and too little warmth. He had ironed his own uniform the night before, dark blue shirt, slightly frayed collar, name patch sewn back on twice. He carried the weight of exhaustion the way some men carry expensive watches, quietly, without complaint. Armin had not planned to be a janitor at 32. Once, he had been studying civil engineering, full of blueprints and ambition. Once, he had dreamed of designing bridges that connected cities. But life had cracked under him like thin ice. His wife's sudden illness had swallowed their savings, and by the time the hospital bills were settled, she was gone. What remained was debt, grief, and a tiny girl who still asked when Mama would wake up. Armin took the first job he could find. That job was at Nexera Global, one of the fastest-growing tech corporations in the country, led by the formidable and widely respected CEO, Samara Vale. Samara was known for her brilliance. She was only 38 but had built the company from a failing startup into a billion-dollar powerhouse. People described her as elegant, ruthless in negotiations, and emotionally untouchable. Her tailored suits were as sharp as her decisions. She rarely smiled. She never hesitated. She also never noticed the janitor. Until that Tuesday. The boardroom was preparing for an important investor visit. Journalists were expected. A high-profile partnership was on the verge of collapsing due to rumors about Samara's personal life, rumors that she was involved with a rival executive. The media loved to twist her success into scandal. When Armin entered to clean the corner near the large glass windows, he kept his eyes lowered, as he always did. He worked efficiently, invisible. But Samara was pacing. Her assistant whispered something urgently. The investors had arrived early. The rival executive was seen in the lobby. Reporters were already setting up cameras downstairs. Panic shimmered just beneath the CEO's composed exterior. And then she did something no one expected. She turned to the nearest man. Armin. Her eyes scanned him, simple uniform, kind face, wedding ring still on his finger though his wife was gone, a quiet dignity that didn't beg for attention. "Pretend you kiss me for 7 minutes," she said. The room inhaled sharply. It was a calculated move. If the press saw her intimately engaged with a staff member, rumors about the rival executive would crumble instantly. A harmless, impulsive moment with a random employee would redirect the narrative. She needed a distraction. A shield. A human headline. But she had underestimated the man holding the mop. Armin's heart pounded, not from attraction or temptation, but from something deeper, self-respect. He imagined Zara one day hearing about it. Seeing it online. Her father reduced to a prop in a corporate stunt. He imagined his late wife's photograph on their nightstand. The silence stretched. Executives avoided eye contact. Some were smirking. Others were uncomfortable. No one expected the janitor to have a choice. Armin slowly set the mop against the wall. He looked at Samara directly, something he had never done before. The sunlight caught in his tired eyes, revealing strength no one had noticed. And then he did something that stunned them all. He shook his head. Not aggressively. Not fearfully. Just firmly. He stepped back and spoke in a calm voice that carried more power than the CEO's demand. He told her he was sorry she was under pressure. He told her he understood what it felt like when the world cornered you and expected you to perform. But he said he had a daughter who believed her father was a hero. And he refused to let her grow up thinking her hero could be rented for 7 minutes. The boardroom felt smaller. Samara blinked. No one had spoken to her like that in years. Most people scrambled to please her. Most people feared her disappointment. But this man, whose salary likely equaled a fraction of her watch's cost, had just chosen dignity over opportunity. Investors shifted in their seats. The assistant looked horrified. But something in Samara cracked, not anger, but realization. For the first time that morning, she saw him. Not as staff. Not as a solution. As a human being. Armin picked up his mop and continued cleaning as if nothing had happened. The investors eventually entered. The meeting proceeded awkwardly but professionally. The rumors, surprisingly, lost momentum on their own. By afternoon, the crisis had softened. But Samara couldn't focus. His words echoed in her mind. Her hero could be rented for 7 minutes. That evening, long after most employees had left, she found herself standing near the janitor's supply closet. Through the slightly open door, she saw Armin sitting on a stool, eating a simple packed lunch, flatbread and lentils. He was watching a small video on his phone. She paused. It was his daughter. Zara was holding a crayon drawing up to the camera, smiling with missing front teeth. The drawing showed a stick figure man with a cape. "My Baba is my superhero," the child said in the video. Armin's eyes softened in a way that no executive presentation could replicate. Samara felt something unfamiliar stir in her chest. Loneliness. She had built an empire but had no one who called her a hero. The next morning, she called Armin into her office. Not the boardroom. Her private office, with its panoramic view and shelves of awards. He stood near the door, uncomfortable in his uniform, hands clasped respectfully. She did not mention the incident immediately. Instead, she asked about his daughter. About his life. About why he still wore a wedding ring. When he explained, he did not dramatize his grief. He spoke of his wife with gentle reverence. Of hospital corridors. Of promises made at gravesides. Of nights when he stayed awake calculating school fees instead of sleeping. Samara listened. Really listened. By the end of the conversation, she had learned more about courage from her janitor than from any business seminar. Over the following weeks, something shifted within the company. It began quietly. Armin was offered additional training, facility management certification, paid for by the company. Flexible hours so he could attend Zara's school events. A scholarship fund was anonymously created for employees' children. Whispers spread that the CEO had changed. She was still sharp in meetings, still decisive, but softer around the edges. She began walking the floors more often, greeting staff by name. She implemented policies ensuring respect across all levels of employment. And one afternoon, during a company-wide town hall in broad daylight streaming through the atrium, Samara did something unprecedented. She invited Armin onto the stage. Employees murmured in confusion as the janitor stepped into the spotlight. Samara addressed the entire company. She spoke about pressure. About ego. About the illusion that power grants permission to disregard others. She admitted, without detailing the moment, that she had once almost used someone's dignity as a strategy.